All right, here is another resume review for someone that's trying to get into technology. Let's look at what's in it. I haven't read any of it yet. I just blocked out some email and phone number information. So let's dive in and see what's good and what maybe can be improved. First off the bat, I like that your name is the biggest thing on here. It's the thing my eyes were drawn to, and I call it out. I was like, yes, that's good. I want to see that first. We got email and phone number. I do want to see a location here, even if it's a remote job. I need to know what time zone you're in. Still important. LinkedIn in portfolio sites are good if that's what you want to share. This might be hard if someone actually like people typically won't have the paper version of this anymore. It is going to be digital, so a lot of people will click on that, which is fine. But you can actually make it look a little better if you use a short URL. Something like Bitly. There's a bunch of other ones out there. Use that instead. Use that and then do like your name dash LinkedIn or something. Just something that's cleaner, a little bit easier to look at. Like this stuff over here, like that gets a little bit too much to kind of like look at, and you can shorten these up and just make them cleaner. And then if you have an account with Bitly, you can actually add a plus at the end of that to see the metrics. You can go to that link with the plus and you'll see how many people are clicking on the link, how often they're clicking on them. It's a great thing if you're applying to 20 jobs and you see 5 clicks, like cool. 5 of those people are actually clicking on your resume links and digging into it to find out more about you. So that's good to see that you get some feedback from that as well. So let's see. Objective. I am well versed in analyzing businesses and devising data-backed strategies required to keep companies agile with a dynamic economy. I am exceptional at buying high-level visions and paying close attention to details. This is always a risky thing to put on your resume because if I find any errors, I'm going to call BS on that. I'm going to say, hey, close attention to details, how about this thing? So beware of that if you're going to include that. And I am enthusiastic about impact data will have on global consumerism within the next decade. So this is fine to include. Some of this you may want to trim up of like, give me a little bit. Again, if you're breaking into tech, you probably don't have a lot of relevant work experience, but I want to see some metrics or something that like, you're telling me a lot of things you want to do. I'm hoping a lot of this stuff is backed up by work experience below, even if it's not in tech. You can tell me about times you were data driven. You can tell me about times, why are you good at data-backed strategies? That doesn't have to be a tech job. That can be an anything job, and you can show me that down below. Skills. This is fine. I don't typically like to see these word bubble list sorts of things. I like to see this stuff called out in job descriptions at bullet points. Don't tell me you're good at data mining. Show me when you use data mining. Show me a success that you had with data mining. Don't tell me you're good at communication and presentation. Tell me when your communication or presentation skills had an impact on a company. You drove a better decision making process for executives so that you're able to ship products faster. Those sorts of things are more important than just saying I can communicate. Software. So this is, it's good to see some of these as technologies you've used. But again, I want to see when did you use R? When did you use SQL? When did you use Tableau? Those are the things that are actually more critical for me to understand for what job were you at? What scale were you working at? How big was the team? How big was the data? What was your outcome? Like if I used Tableau, I've used Tableau a lot in the past. Nothing I've ever personally done with Tableau has had any impact on any company I was at. It was just me poking around and figuring things out. So if you had impact at a company with Tableau, let's call that out. Associate business consultant. So work experience, I typically like to see this right below your objective or right up at the top. It's just you're applying for a job. It's the most relevant thing on your resume. So let's call that out first because it's going to be the first thing that a lot of managers and recruiters are going to look at too. So it manages a formulation of growth strategies within the service and manufacturing sectors. Developed an extensive backward integration strategy for a paper manufacturing company utilizing data-driven strategy. So again, you can tell me how did you do this? What technologies did you use? What's some metrics around like you create this integration strategy? What was the outcome of that strategy? Did it actually have an impact at the company? Were they able to have more sales or more revenue, something like that. Give me some number here. Manufacturing company conducting end-to-end market research, leveraging various data collection, data analysis, and insight generation tools. Assisted a digital vendor raise pre-seed of 100,000 by preparing extensive pre-seed marketing. So this is a good place. You mentioned earlier presentation and communication skills. Like, you don't have to put that up here. You can say down here that your presentation skills help land this company $100,000 in pre-seed money. That's cool. That is a actual application of the thing that backs up what you were saying up above. So I would much rather see this bullet point than the words communication up above. Piloting the team that's raising seed funding for software as a service company by coordinating engagement with angel investors. Again, like, are you using data to back this up? How are you doing this? What's the scale that they're looking at? Is this like a $1 million seed round? Like, tell me some more information about that. It would be good to know. Business operations analyst develops a new inventory management system to ensure. Did you write this code? You developed it. Were you actually writing the code for that? If you were, what tooling were you using? What software, what stack were you using? Reducing inventory waste by 30% within 6 months. That's cool. That's a great stat right there. Like, I want to know that was the outcome of the work you did. And that's the thing that has impact at a company and tells me, oh, you were able to drive this impact somewhere. Like, maybe you could do that for my company too. Collection strategies that ensured accuracy and legitimacy. How did you do this? You ensured accuracy and legitimacy of customer. Was this automation? Were you automatically checking this data? How were you doing some of that? And what was the outcome of you? Because this data was more accurate and legitimate. So like, why do I care? Like, did this actually like improve customer service? Did this reduce complaints or open tickets? Those sorts of things are like numbers that you could easily add here as an outcome. Or if you don't have the data, you can make some estimates as well. Like, that's okay to be on a team or to make some estimates as long as you have data that backs up why you came to that estimate, why it is that was something that, like, oh, if you say this reduced, tickets by 100%, I'm going to call you out that. I'm going to ask, like, how did that reduce 100% of your tickets? If you have no backup data to like tell me why that was important or how you came to that number, then I'm going to say, like, okay, maybe you're just lying to me. And so, like, give me something that you actually have backup information and you can tell me how you got there. Different insights, printed. So again, these are good tasks. I like that you keep these sections, these work sections, fairly short. I mean, 3 and 5 bullet points is okay. Again, because this is a single page, it's fine to have all that information. Education here. Do you have any certificates? Are you doing any current training? Is there something else, like a side project or something that you did that you learned a lot from? Those are also okay to include, especially if we're going to remove some of this stuff up here. Include that down at the bottom for more information that I can understand. What was it that you were actually working on? How did you learn this stuff? If you're trying to get into tech, it's really hard without specific, background in those roles. But again, like, a lot of the experience you have is still really good and really relevant to any sort of job. Doesn't matter if it's in tech or not. So I think it's a great start, and you can clean up a few things to make it easier for me if I was scanning a lot of these, or to just pick out the key things that you had the biggest impact on.